Welcome to the first part of the spring wreath tutorial. Here's what you need: polystyrene ring, wool, glue, 2p coin and scissors. We're going to be making this spring wreath. We're going to start by wrapping the wool around the wreath. So if you flip it onto the flat side, put a dab of glue on there, and then we're just going to attach the wool and then just start wrapping. As you get to about a third of the way round, you want to take the 2p coin and your glue, and we're just going to stick another dab of glue, pop your coin on, and then just continue to keep wrapping. And this will help balance the wreath when you put the flowers on, so it doesn't hang at a funny angle. Carefully, get very gluey doing this. If you do get any knots in it, which you just can't unravel, you can just cut it. I'll show you. You can just cut it wherever the knot is. And if you want to undo it, you can. If not, just cut that bit out. Again, just secure with some more glue, and then just wrap that round. Ooh, a lot of glue. And then just continue by adding in your new piece of wool. We've made the balls small enough so that it shouldn't get really tangled up, but it does happen. Seem to have a few strands together, which actually makes it quicker, so if you want to do that, that would work really well. Speed up your wrapping time. Obviously still a bit of a tangle. And then when you're finished, just cut, and again secure with some glue on the back. Your wrapped wreath.
It's my great delight to introduce you to a lovely friend called Wendy, and for the next few moments we're going to hear a bit more about her story. So Wendy, just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself, your family. How long have you been in Scarborough, and what fills your days in 2021?
Oh, thank you, Vicky. It's lovely to speak. Well, I've been in Scarborough about 20 years. I came here specifically to go to university, as it was then, and I studied fine art and painting, and I did some ceramics, and I just fell in love with the area. And through being at university, I then decided to stay here permanently. I'm married to Rob Moore, and I have 2 children, and yeah, they're lovely. They fill my life, and so I spend most of my time obviously looking after them, and the rest of my time I look after a family. I'm a personal assistant for a young family in town, and then I paint all the time.
Great. So Wendy, you're a painter, you're an artist. What particular projects have you been involved in recently?
Well, we've actually had some exhibitions cancelled, obviously, in the last year. So I've been in free fall doing whatever I wanted to do, really. I was involved with Bridlington's Art Waves in making some birds that we all, as artists, decorated them, and they've sold them towards art projects in and around Bridlington. So that was a really nice, fairly therapeutic thing to do. But I've also taken the opportunity to reboot what I've been doing, because I was very much a landscape artist, wanting to primarily just express a sense of worship and adoration through my subject matter and seeing God's hand in my environment. But I wanted more. I wanted more of the voice of God coming through my work, and so I've taken this time to reevaluate and change. So now I have figures and landscape layered together to evoke more of a sense of mystery and maybe the sense of something else with us without being specific.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously you've touched on, the fact that you have a faith in God, and I suppose it does influence your artwork. Tell us a little bit more about that. How does being a Christian, having a faith in God, influence the way you paint, the way you create?
Okay, well, I mean, it's obviously a fine balance, because sometimes you're interested in a subject for the subject matter's sake, and sometimes you have to weigh up quite what you're wanting to communicate. But when I walk in a landscape, I'm very much aware of God's voice through the landscape. So the way, like, we walk through the woods now and we see the fresh buds coming through the trees, we see new life coming through what's dead and dark and musty. And, it very much comes across to me how God is breathing new life. And very often when we're in these dark places and we can't see things happening in our lives, we look at nature and we know that the bulbs are beginning to root down into the soil. Even though we can't see anything, we know that the sap is going through the branches of the tree, and the first evidence is this tiny, tiny little sort of bud happening. And I feel very much God's presence when I walk. And so I've wanted more and more to express that in my work. So I use things like reflections to suggest a presence of something that isn't obvious, but we can see, to suggest that looking at things through a different perspective can allow us to see things differently. So by looking down in the water, we actually get a different perspective of what's above us. And I quite like the idea that there can be a narrative there of seeking God and hearing God and letting God touch you and guide you and things like that. So I don't think it's overly obvious when you look at my work, but if you were to read anything that I wrote, you'd be able to see that, how it couples together.
Yeah, super. So obviously when you create art, there's something very personal about your art. You've got a kind of a story in your head that you're trying to communicate, but yeah, it is meant to be shared. As an artist, you want other people to be interested in your paintings, and I suppose it's a real joy when people really engage in your art and appreciate it. And in a similar way, as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, that's a very personal thing, your relationship with Jesus. Yet it's something you want to share with others. You want people to engage and be interested in this person of Jesus. So as we finish, Wendy, tell us why you think people should take an interest in Jesus.
Okay, well, I think my own opinion is that this life and this world is an incredibly scary place, and I would not like to try and navigate it without a roadmap and without some clear direction. And for me, a journey very much involves going through puddles and going through forests and going through hills and then reaching a summit and then going back down again. And sometimes we can get a bit lost and we don't know where on earth we're going. And if we're in the middle of that forest or in the middle of that dark place or that muck and mire, and we've actually got no idea where we're going, then that to me is terrifying. But if I know that if I am walking hand in hand with Jesus, then I know that there is a way out of that forest and that there is a plan and a purpose and a direction. And I know I go off track. I know I go all over the place, but I know equally that when I return back to Jesus, that he takes my hand and says, right, okay, left, right, keep going, and we'll get there. Because that's his promise, that his plans and purposes are yes and amen in Christ Jesus. And I truly believe that when I trust in walking with him, then I will reach my destination. And to actually try and navigate this world, especially at the moment, without that assurance, I just think is just absolutely terrifying. So that's my take.
Thank you so much, Wendy. It's been a real pleasure to chat to you and hear a little bit about your work. Is there anywhere people can go to kind of get a bit more of a taste of your work, or this is your chance to plug anything that might be happening?
I'm on Facebook. I've Wendy Tate artist page. I've got several and you just have to jiggle around them. My website's not up to much, but definitely if you were to go on Facebook and put my name in, you'd get several pages.
And that's your dog as well. Fantastic. This is real life. Real lockdown. Okay, thanks very much, Wendy. That was great.
Thank you.
Spring wreath tutorial part 2. Here's what you need: felt, glue, pins, scissors and your ribbon. So this is the first flower that we're going to make. It's a roll flower. So you're going to take a piece of your felt, any piece will do, whichever colour you'd like to use first, and we're going to cut out a circle. You can just eyeball this, or you can use a mug or a bowl to trace round. My circle measures about 10 centimetres in diameter, but the bigger the circle, the bigger the flower. And then we're going to take the felt and just cut your circle out. Now we're going to cut a spiral into the circle. So just start and taper your way around. So we're going to make a fold, a little cone shape. Beginning, and then just roll the flower round. You can use a dab of glue as you go, just to keep it secure. And then keep rolling. When you have it how you like it, just secure the end with another dab of glue. Hold for a few seconds just to let it set, and there you have your first rolled flower. So this is the second rolled flower, a bit more like a rose with a scalloped edge. So we're going to do the same. Take another piece of felt, and I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger, so just trace round or eyeball circle. And this time I'm just going to do little scallops as we go. You're going to do the same and make a little cone shape and then just roll the flower. You have your second rolled rose. So this is the third rolled flower. This is made a little bit differently. So if you take your piece of felt, and depending on the size of your flower, you could fold it along here, or you could use this side. I'm going to use my box of mini eggs just to measure it out. So probably, yeah, 2 widths of mini eggs. Just gonna want to cut a straight line. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a dab of glue along one side. And then just fold it over. Just press it together to let it set. And then we're going to take our pair of scissors and we're going to cut little slits into the folded side. About 2/3 of the way down. And then this is what it looks like. And we're just going to roll at the base. Again, you put a dab of glue as you go. Nice and tight, and then secure with another dab of glue at the end. And there you have your third rolled flower. It's always nice to have some leaves to go with the flowers, and these are super easy. So just take your green felt and then just cut into it a leaf shape. You can make these as big or as small as you like, and then just add them to your wreath. when you've made the flowers that you want, you can position them on your wreath. You can pin them in place before you glue them down. So just check where your 2p coin is on the back. You kind of want that maybe, if your ribbon's going to be here, the coin on that side, and then if you're going to put your flowers here. So just to start with, just to use a pin, just to position, because then you can move it about before you've glued it in place. So you can rearrange your flowers wherever you want, move them about, you can glue them down or leave the pins in. And then we're going to cut the ribbon. You probably need about 7 centimetres. And again, you can just pin that in place so that you know that it's going to balance. And there you have it. A wonderful spring wreath.